The weight of a nation. There is a number that haunts English soccer. It has not changed since 1966, 60 years. 3 generations of supporters who were born, grew old, and died without once watching their country lift the World Cup. And now, standing between England and that moment, there is one man, one striker, one captain, Harry Kane. On the surface, the question seems almost too simple. He is the all-time leading scorer in England's history. He captains his country. He plays for one of the biggest clubs in world soccer. He is, by every statistical measure, the most dangerous English forward of his generation. So why does the question feel so heavy? Why does it feel somehow unresolved? Because soccer is not just mathematics. Because the World Cup is not just a tournament. It is a cathedral. And inside that cathedral, legends are separated from the merely great by something you cannot find in a spreadsheet, something that has been weighing on Harry Kane since the moment he first wore the armband. This is not a story about whether Harry Kane is good enough. He is. This is a story about something far more complicated. This is a story about what it means to carry the hopes of an entire nation across an entire career, and whether the ending of that story has already been written. Before we answer the question, we need to understand what England has been waiting for. We need to go back, further back than you might expect. The curse of Wembley's ghost, July 30th, 1966, Wembley Stadium, 93,000 people inside, millions more watching on black and white televisions across the country. Jeff Hurst, the hat trick, the Russian linesman, the final whistle, and then 60 years of silence. What happened in the decades that followed was not simply a series of near misses. It was something more insidious, a pattern so consistent it began to feel intentional. Penalties against West Germany in 1990, the agony of Gaza's tears, then again on penalties in 1996, this time at Wembley, the ghost of 1966 watching from every empty seat, Beckham's red card in 1998, the group stage exits that weren't supposed to happen, the golden generation of Gerrard, Lampard, Rooney, so much talent, so little return. And then just when England seemed to have found a new identity under Gareth Southgate, the tournament soccer, the pragmatism, the penalties finally conquered in 2018, there was Euro 2020, the final at Wembley against Italy. And once again, the familiar spiral, missed penalties, the trophy lifting without England in the picture. Each of these moments added a new layer to the national mythology. England does not simply lose. England loses in a specific, devastating, operatically cruel way. And every New England striker who rises through the ranks inherits this mythology. They inherit the weight of every near miss that came before them. Harry Kane was 12 years old when England lost that 2002 World Cup quarterfinal to Brazil. He was watching. He remembers. And in ways he may not even fully understand, that loss and every loss before it is part of the story he is now trying to rewrite. The making of a record breaker. There is something almost improbable about Harry Kane's origin story. He was released by Arsenal as a child. Too slow, they said, not sharp enough. The kind of rejection that ends most careers before they begin. Instead, it sent him to Tottenham Hotspur and eventually to the top of every scoring chart in English soccer history. He made his England debut in March 2015, a substitute appearance against Lithuania. He scored with a second touch. It looked in that moment like the beginning of something extraordinary. It was, but not in the way anyone fully anticipated. Kane did not just become a great England scorer. He became the England scorer, surpassing Bobby Charlton's record of 49 goals in November 2023, finishing with a tally that no Englishman has ever matched. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Watch Kane in his pomp and you see something that statistics struggle to capture: a complete striker, the hold-up play of a target man, the movement of a poacher, the technical precision of a creator, more than 100 assists across his club career, a passing range that humbles midfielders, a soccer intelligence built quietly across thousands of hours at Tottenham's training ground. In the 2018 World Cup, Kane won the Golden Boot. 6 goals, England reached the semifinals for the first time in 28 years. The country exhaled. This surely was it. This was the generation. This was the moment. Croatia had other ideas. A 2-1 defeat in Moscow, Kane on the pitch, unable to change it. The goal that would have sent England to a World Cup final slipped away, and there it was, the first data point in a pattern that nobody wanted to see forming. England's greatest ever scorer, unable to deliver in the moment that mattered most. Not for lack of talent, not for lack of effort, but for reasons that would take years to fully understand. The Qatar question winter 2022. The Qatar World Cup. For England, this was supposed to be different. Southgate had 3 more years of data, 3 more years of tactical refinement. The squad was deeper, more balanced, more experience. And Harry Kane arrived as captain, carrying his record-breaking tally and a calm authority that suggested, finally, a player fully in command of his moment. England's group stage was imperious, 6-2 against Iran, a clean sheet against Wales. Kane was involved in everything. Clinical when required, creative when not. The evidence was pointing in one direction. This was a team capable of going all the way. And then Senegal, the quarterfinal against France. The match that defined, for better or worse, Harry Kane's relationship with the World Cup. Kane scored a penalty to make it 1-2, England level. For 45 minutes, the dream was alive again. Then Marcus Rashford blazed a shot over. Then Aurelien Tchouameni's long-range effort went in. And with 10 minutes remaining, Kane stepped up for a penalty that would have made it 2-3, a goal that might have restarted England's campaign completely. He missed. The ball soared over the crossbar, high and wide and devastating. The stadium fell silent around the England fans. Kane fell to his knees. The match was gone. France advanced. England were out. And in that single moment, it's a rare technical failure from a man who virtually never misses penalties. The narrative calcified around him. Was it fair? Probably not entirely. One missed penalty does not erase hundreds of goals, years of leadership, a tournament run that ended only against the eventual finalists. But the World Cup is not fair. It does not grade on a curve. And suddenly, the question that had been lurking in the background stepped fully into the light. Can Harry Kane actually win this thing? The Bayern chapter. In the summer of 2023, something changed. After years of speculation, of summers where Kane stayed because the move never materialized, he finally left Tottenham. He signed for Bayern Munich, not for a buyout clause or a parting gift, but for a fee that made him one of the most expensive transfers in history at his age. At 30, Harry Kane became a Bundesliga striker. The move was significant for reasons beyond soccer. It told a story about ambition, about a player who had spent his entire career in one place, had become the most iconic figure in that club's modern history, and then chose to leave because he needed more, because he understood, perhaps for the first time with full clarity, that trophies would not come to him. He had to go and find them. And in Munich, he found form like nothing he had produced since his peak Spurs years. Over 50 goals in his first season, a historic scoring tally for a debutant in Germany, a player playing with the freedom that comes from operating behind the ball without the burden of being a club's entire attacking identity. At Spurs, he was everything: the creator, the finisher, the outlet, the plan B, and the plan A. At Bayern, he was simply the striker, and he was extraordinary. But Bayern did not win the Bundesliga that first season. They finished second for the first time in over a decade. And in the Champions League, they were eliminated before the final again. Kane was exceptional. The team was not. And in this detail, a world-class player carrying an imperfect team was a mirror of exactly what he faces with England. Kane's individual ceiling has never been the problem. The structural question remains. The Bayern move, though, changed the conversation. It suggested a player willing to sacrifice comfort for ambition, a player who understood what was at stake. That willingness to bet on himself, to step into the unknown at 30, tells us something important about what might happen when the World Cup comes around again. What England actually needs. Here is the question that English soccer has never quite answered cleanly. What does an England team built around Harry Kane actually look like? Not the England team of the last decade, reactive, structured, cautious, but a team genuinely constructed to maximize its best player. Because the two things are not necessarily the same. The England teams under Southgate were defensively organized to a degree that sometimes limited Kane's effectiveness. In 2018 and 2022, the system worked to a point. It produced deep runs, it provided structure, it reduced vulnerability, but there were matches, crucial matches, where England needed a goal and the mechanism for generating one felt incomplete. Kane was isolated, the service was insufficient, the movement around him was not creating the spaces he needed. Compare this to the Germany teams that Klose played in. The 2014 squad had width, pace, technical midfielders who could thread passes into tight spaces. It had Mario Götze coming off the bench to score in extra time of a World Cup final. It had depth and versatility and multiple ways to win. Kane has never had that around him. He has had very good England teams. He has not had a great one. The question then is not whether Kane is good enough to win a World Cup. He is. The question is whether England will ever build a team good enough around him. And here, for the first time, the evidence is beginning to shift. Phil Foden at his best is a world-class player. Bukayo Saka is one of the most effective wide forwards in Europe. Jude Bellingham, already at 20, has produced moments of Champions League and international soccer that suggest genuinely elite quality. England has, perhaps for the first time since the golden generation that never delivered, a group of players capable of winning a World Cup. The system, the manager, the tactical philosophy, these things still matter enormously. But for the first time in years, the talent around Kane justifies genuine hope, not just English hope, objective, analytical hope. The psychology of the nearly man. There is a concept in sports psychology called the choking under pressure narrative. The idea that some athletes faced with the highest stakes moments find a way to fail that cannot be explained purely by skill or tactics. It is not a fair concept. It is often applied retrospectively and selectively, ignoring dozens of successful high-pressure moments to focus on one failure. But it becomes a weight once attached that is almost impossible to remove. After the Qatar penalty miss, that narrative attached itself to Harry Kane. And this is perhaps the most dangerous thing he faces. Not France, not Brazil, not whichever team England draw in the knockout rounds of the next World Cup. The most dangerous thing he faces is the story that has been written about him inside his own national conversation. Because Kane has been exceptional under pressure more times than anyone remembers. His penalty record before Qatar was among the best in European soccer. He scored crucial goals in elimination matches. He led from the front in the hardest moments. The one miss against a technically exceptional France team in the quarterfinal of a World Cup, having already scored once, became the dominant story. The hundreds of moments before it were quietly archived. What is remarkable is that Kane, by all accounts, has processed this narrative with an unusual degree of equanimity. He has spoken about the Qatar miss honestly and without deflection. He has continued scoring goals at an extraordinary rate. He has not retreated into caution or changed the way he plays. This is the behavior of a psychologically resilient athlete, one who has not allowed a single failure to define his self-image. The question is not whether Kane believes he can do it. He clearly does. The question is whether, when the next biggest moment arrives, the weight of every previous chapter dissolves completely. Whether the years of anticipation, the missed finals, the penalty over the bar, whether all of it can be placed aside long enough for England to finally and possibly do what they have not done for 60 years. The pattern no one is talking about. Pull back the camera far enough and a pattern emerges that the moment-to-moment narrative tends to obscure. Look at every major England tournament under Southgate, 2018, Euro 2020, 2022, and you find the same structure: strong group stage, strong round of 16, deep run into the knockout rounds, elimination at or near the semifinal stage. England, under Southgate, was the most consistent underperformer above expectations of any major nation. They were consistently nearly there. Now look at where Harry Kane was in each of those tournaments. In 2018, he was the team's best player and won the Golden Boot. In Euro 2020, he was slow to start but decisive in the knockout rounds. In 2022, he was brilliant before the missed penalty. The pattern repeats. England performs well, reaches the stage where the margin for error is smallest, and then something goes wrong. Not systematically wrong, specifically, momentarily, cruelly wrong. This is the shape of a team that is genuinely close, not a team that keeps losing in the group stage, not a team with structural problems so deep they cannot be addressed. A team that is tournament after tournament within 90 minutes of the final. And in every one of those last chance moments, Harry Kane has been there. Not watching from a hospital bed, not excluded through injury or form, but available and ready and carrying the armband. The significance of this pattern is underappreciated. It means Kane has been present for more legitimate World Cup and European Championship near misses than almost any other England player in history. Bobby Charlton had 2 meaningful tournaments. Gerrard had 1. Kane has been through 4. 4 deep runs, 4 moments where England came within reach, each one adding to his understanding of what the final step actually requires. There is a name for this kind of player in sport, the one who keeps reaching the moment, keeps returning, keeps standing at the edge of history. Sometimes the name is nearly man. Sometimes after enough attempts, the name changes. The question is how many attempts remain. The age of the moment. Harry Kane was born on July 28, 1993. At the next World Cup in 2026, he will be 32 years old. Not old exactly. Miroslav Klose won a World Cup at 35, but old enough that the window is defined now in a way it was not 5 years ago. If it is going to happen, it will almost certainly happen in 2026. The North American tournament, co-hosted by the United States, Mexico, and Canada, played across the summer in some of the world's great stadiums. The structure of the 2026 tournament is different from anything that came before it. 48 teams, a new group stage format, more matches, more paths to the final. For established soccer nations, the expanded tournament means more potential banana skin matches in the early rounds, but it also means a deeper talent pool across the knockout stage and, critically, more time for squads to find form. England's depth, which has historically been their greatest underutilized asset, becomes even more valuable. Kane arrives at 2026 in the form of his life. His scoring record in Germany has recalibrated expectations even further upward. His fitness, always impeccable, shows no sign of decline. And there is something different about the way he carries himself, a clarity of purpose that distinguishes the final chapter of a great career from its middle act. He is not playing with the urgency of someone trying to establish themselves. He is playing with the focus of someone trying to complete something. And the England squad around him, for the first time in a generation, matches his ambition. Bellingham is in his prime. Saka continues to improve. Foden, when fully fit and deployed correctly, is capable of deciding matches at the highest level. The defensive core, built on 3 successive major tournament deep runs, has the experience and organization that previous England sides lacked. The scaffolding, always the weakest part of England's structure, has never been stronger. One more tournament, one more attempt. The number that sits above everything at 1966 has never been closer to the edge of history and further from it at precisely the same moment. Because soccer does not reward inevitability. It rewards the team that finds a way to be right in the right place at the right time. That is what 2026 will be. The right time. The only question is whether it will be England's time. The evidence. Let's be honest about what the evidence actually says. Not the mythology, not the narrative. The evidence. Harry Kane has more England goals than anyone in history. He has a penalty record that ranks among the best in European soccer over a 15-year period. He has played in 4 major tournament knockout rounds. He has performed at an elite level in some of the world's most demanding soccer environments. He has never missed a major tournament through injury or suspension. This is not the profile of a player who cannot deliver in big moments. The evidence from Bayern Munich adds another dimension. The idea that Kane could only produce under specific Tottenham conditions. The familiar league, the club record wages, the loyalty has been dismantled comprehensively. He adapted to a new country, a new language, a new tactical system, and an entirely new set of expectations, and he scored at a historic rate. The mental flexibility required for that is exactly the kind of quality that tournament soccer demands. And then there is the evidence from the players around him. Bellingham's performances at Real Madrid, Champions League knockouts, Liga title races, the kind of mental fortitude that top clubs only trust with players of exceptional character, tell us something important about where England's midfield is heading. Saka's consistency across multiple Arsenal title challenges, Foden's moments of genius in the biggest club matches. England has at last a group of players who have spent their formative years winning things. The evidence also includes something less quantifiable, but no less real: hunger. Kane did not leave Tottenham because he was comfortable. He did not sign for Bayern Munich because the money was safe. He made a choice that was difficult and uncertain because the alternative, watching his career close without a trophy, was unbearable. That is not the behavior of a player resigned to failure. That is the behavior of a player who understands what the remaining chapters of his story require. Put all of it together, and the honest assessment is this: Harry Kane has a genuine, credible, evidence-based chance of winning the World Cup in 2026. Not a romantic chance, not a wishful thinking chance, a real one, built on individual quality, squad depth, tournament experience, and a remaining window that is short enough to focus the mind but wide enough to allow for the preparation required. The evidence points toward possibility. What happens next determines whether it becomes history. The final answer. Here is what history has taught us about the question of Harry Kane and the World Cup. History is not decided by talent alone. History is decided by moments, by the accumulation of small decisions, tactical choices, fortunate draws, unexpected heroics, and improbable interventions that eventually tip into something irreversible. England in 1966 won the World Cup because they had Hurst and Moore and Banks, and because West Germany ran out of steam. They won it on a day, on one specific, unrepeatable day. Harry Kane cannot guarantee that day. No player can. What he can do, and what the evidence suggests he is fully capable of doing, is arrive at that day in the best possible condition to take advantage of it. He can score the goals that keep England in tournaments. He can lead the group of players around him with the composure that comes from having stood at the edge of this moment before. He can convert the penalty that really matters. The Qatar miss was not a prophecy. It was a bad day, and bad days do not define great players. The real answer to the question, can Harry Kane win the World Cup for England, is that no single player ever wins a World Cup alone. Ronaldo didn't. Messi didn't on his first 3 attempts. Zidane needed Vieira and Henry behind him. The World Cup is a team achievement that requires one leader, one focal point, one man around whom everything else coheres. For England in 2026, that man is Harry Kane. Whether the pieces around him hold together for 6 weeks in North America is the only remaining variable. The number 1966 still sits there, 60 years on, waiting to be superseded. An entire nation has been holding his breath for 3 generations. And in that context, Harry Kane is not simply a soccer player trying to win a tournament. He is the inheritor of a story that predates him by decades, a story that has already broken the hearts of every England player who carried it before him. He knows this. He has always known this. The weight of it is visible in every pre-tournament interview, every quiet moment on the training pitch. So here is where we leave it. Not with a prediction, not with a guarantee, but with a question that deserves to follow you long after this video ends. When England walk out in that tournament final, and with this squad, this manager, and this striker, it is no longer an impossible thought. And when Harry Kane steps up to take the penalty or lifts the ball past the goalkeeper, or raises his arms and looks up at 60,000 people who have waited their entire lives for this moment, will you be able to say you saw it coming, or will you be as surprised as everyone else? That argument belongs to you now. Tell us where you stand in the comments, and if you want to follow every chapter of England's story as it unfolds, subscribe, because this story is not over, not even close.